Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Acolyte episode 4. My sister and I literally just got through watching it half an hour ago, so it's really fresh in my mind. So after episode 3, I have had a week to process episode 3, and I felt like adding more to my video and saying that I felt like 3 stars or whatever I gave it was being a little bit too generous, because if you take out all of the Star Wars stuff and all of the woke stuff, there's still a lot of writing continuity issues. I don't remember if I mentioned the fire. I didn't notice this at first because I was just not thinking clearly. But the fire was burning and it was stone and metal. The facility itself was made out of stone and metal. So how did the fire do that? And then there's a lot of inconsistencies. But this episode, it had a lot of I didn't see anything that stood out as wrong with Star Wars or breaking Star Wars lore like the last episode did. But it had a lot of writing issues that didn't make a whole lot of sense, and I feel like it's leaving more questions than answers. But for some reason this episode was kind of just fun to watch. It was kind of like episodes 1 and 2 where it's I'm not overly excited about it, but I don't hate it, and it's kind of just I'm having fun while I watch it, if that makes any sense. So it's weird. The Jedi have their meeting and they decide to go send a team after to protect the Wookiee from May. May and the drunk guy are going there to the Wookiee, and there's this long trek through the jungle, so they have a few moments together. I really like the drunk guy, and last episode I started getting some theories that what if he's actually the master in disguise? Some people were kind of thinking that way, and then I was thinking, well, I don't have faith in the writers to be that smart to actually do something like that. But this episode we actually had a lot of hints, and I don't know yet for sure, but I'm still sticking to that as my theory, because just some of the conversations and dialogue he has with May, he's acting really sus, and I feel because he's pushing her to do kind of what the master wants, and so I feel like he could be. So they go there. Osha and the Jedi, and including Sol, and Yord and some other ones head to there too, so they're all kind of going the same direction. So Yord at first wants Osha to give the blaster back, and it's one of those, the Jedi are acting like the police force kind of thing, and I hate the way they're portrayed. But then on the journey, Yord and Osha have this moment, which is actually a really sweet moment. Yord actually says some wise stuff for once, which is really weird because he's kind of dumb. And then she asked him if I can't do it, if I can't kill May, you've got to, if I can't face her, you have to, and promise me, and all that stuff. And Yord says that Sol is kind of it's not just wanting Osha here for the sake of trying to save May. It's more healing for Osha, and so I kind of like that, and so that moment was really good. We did see a Kai Adi Mundi kind of alien looking guy in the initial meeting, and I don't know if it's meant to be him or not. I don't know how long his race lives, so if it is him, that's pretty cool. If it's not him, his race was supposed to be almost extinct, and that's why he was allowed to actually have wives so that he could keep his race alive, basically. But it was more a physical keep the race alive kind of circumstance, and not a love kind of situation. So if that's another one of his race, that's a little weird, but it's kind of cool. And then we saw a Plo Koon looking one as well that was part of the team. I didn't get a good look at him, so I don't know if it's Plo Koon or another one, but that was pretty cool. So basically, May, for some reason, gets the drunk guy in a trap and decides that her loyalty is to her sister, not to the master, even though her loyalty's been to the master for years, and she tried to kill her sister in the flashback, I don't know, and burn the whole place to the ground. And so she's decided that she's going to go turn herself over to the Jedi. So instead of going to turn herself over to the Jedi, she goes to where the Wookiee Jedi is, finds him with a lightsaber slash across him right about the time that the other Jedi all get there. On the way there, they're using this tracker, which he kind of looks like a beaver kind of looking thing. And in one scene, they do call Osha as he or they, and she adds in or they, which is kind of convoluted, and again, it feels forced, it's grammatically incorrect, it's really awkward, but it was kind of brief, so it was easy to overlook that. But eventually they get there, and they order anybody in to come out, and it's Yord says something stupid. Hold on. Okay, I had to take the review to my room. So, anyways, yeah, there was another line that was kind of awkward, because they're kind of doing the police thing where it's come out and surrender, and he's And Yord basically says May, whatever her last name is, as if like, who else would be there for you guys? Like, who else are you guys talking to? Like, of course it's gonna be May. So it was Yord just being stupid Yord. But she for some reason looks out the door or the window, whatever, sees them, and it's like, okay, you're wanting to turn yourself over to the Jedi. I know that the Wookiee's dead with a lightsaber slash, so that probably makes you look bad, but like, why isn't she going out there to surrender? And then you realize that she's looking behind them, and I realized not Yule, I keep calling him Yule, which is a term in Skyrim, and combining Yord with Soul, but Soul, see, like, he turns and you kind of know he's sensing something. I'm like, oh, the Master's here. And I was like, this looks like the scene from the trailer when they all ignite their lightsabers, so I knew it was going to come. So they all turn around, they pull out their lightsabers, he walks up beside Osha, he does this, like, thing, like, and it pushes her aside, and then he force pushes them and they all fall backwards. Like, he is really OP. He did have a red lightsaber, he did ignite it, and I'm like, if this is the Master, because the whole thing with May and the drunk guy, it has been, she needs to kill the Wookiee unarmed, and she's like, that's impossible. It's impossible. You can't do it. And he's asking the impossible, and the drunk guy's like, don't lose your resolve, you know, that kind of thing. And he's like, I'll go get you some water. So at one point, she sat down to rest. He didn't want her to rest. And then he's like, you know what? You're losing your resolve. You do need to rest. I'll go get you some water. So he leaves. And then later on, he hears May scream for whatever reason. He goes back. I guess she was luring him there. So he goes to her, and that's when she lures him into the trap. So he did have a moment when he could have been the one to go and kill the Wookiee, and then he heard her scream, went back and got in the trap, and then got himself out of it, and then showed back up. And the Master guy does have a mask, but his body is lean and tall and the exact shape as the drunk guy. So honestly, at this point, if it's not the drunk guy, that was loud. If it's not the drunk guy, I'm gonna be a little mad because that's a lost opportunity for a nice twist. I'm actually really rooting for it because I really do like the drunk guy. Like, he is kind of a fun character. So yeah, but anyways, then the other question is, why, if he's pushing if he's pushing May to kill them unarmed, then why did he use a lightsaber to go kill the Wookiee and then ignite his lightsaber against the Jedi? Like, my question with this philosophy is it just a test for May? Just to teach her to do it once, and then it's like, then you're free to use a weapon or a lightsaber or whatever you want? Or is it like a belief system that you have to fight unarmed? And if that's the case, why does he have a lightsaber? And then May's motivations makes less sense. And I feel like I told my sister that episode 3, the flashback episode, last one, is completely pointless because it doesn't actually explain anything. It doesn't help us understand the past like it was supposed to. Flashback episodes typically do that. So it doesn't actually help us understand character motivations more because we didn't learn anything new. It didn't show us anything new about why characters do the things that they do. It didn't reveal to us any information about the past that is useful in understanding the plot now. It left more questions and more convoluted plot holes than answers. So I feel like if you take episode 3 out, and it also threw in a bunch of woke stuff that didn't need to be there, that also kind of broke the lore because of Anakin, like taking Anakin's place as the Immaculate Conception thing. So it did so much bad that I feel like you take episode 3 out and you go from episodes 1, 2, and then 4. I've had fun watching it, even though it's really dumb and there's a lot of plot holes in writing. Like, you know, some of those, like, I still enjoy watching the Twilight movies. I enjoyed the books when I was a teenager because we were all dumb. And now as an adult, like, I'd have to reread them. And I've rewatched them a couple of years ago, and there's so many issues with the writing. But it's one of those guilty pleasures that's it's fun to watch. Like, everybody has their own thing that they like to watch that may be like, you can admit it's a bad movie or it has a lot of issues and still actually enjoy it and watch it for fun. And I feel like The Acolyte, I don't think I would rewatch it, at least these 3 episodes so far, because 1, 2, and 4 are the ones that I'm counting. 3 is just a mess. And there's a lot of issues with the writing, and it's got a lot of plot holes, and it's riddled with plot holes at this point. But I'm having fun while I watch it, and I don't know why. And it still doesn't feel kind of like Star Wars to me. It feels very weird. And it's just like, on the one hand, I don't like it. On the other hand, I'm not hating it, and I'm kind of having fun. And it's weird, and I don't know why I feel so conflicted. And then I'm just like, what is May? Her motivations don't make any sense, because like in the flashback episode, she tried to kill Osha and was like, you know, she didn't want Osha. She wanted to be a witch. She didn't want Osha to leave. Osha wanted to leave and become a Jedi. So she was like, okay, fine. I'm going to trap you here. And then all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to kill you. And then she set her Osha's journal on fire and literally burned the place, like literally lit the metal and stone structure on fire. And we're led to believe that she killed them all. So she killed all of the witches, even though she wanted to be a witch. And now, so she spent her life training under this Dark Master, being loyal to him, and then killing off the Jedi that she, quote, believed were responsible or guilty in some way, even though she, quote, did it. I'm saying quote because we don't know. Only to find out that Osha's alive. Knowing that she tried to kill her when they were kids, now all of a sudden, seeing some reason, she decides to change her mind, betray the Dark Master. I don't know why I call him Dark Master. Betray the Master guy, and turn herself into the Jedi. So she heads to the Wookiee's hut, finds him dead, and then turns to see the Jedi. Like, if seeing Osha is what changed her mind, then why didn't she turn herself in then on the planet when they first saw each other, instead of running away? And if she needed time to think about it, so that's why she went to the Wookiee jungle place and went through the jungle and the dangerous trek and all that stuff. If she needed time to think about it, what changed her mind on the trek? Like, you need a scene to kind of show the character motivations, and it's like, what specifically changed her mind? Like, what was her thought process? How did she work through this? I feel like the character motivations are just not there, and it's not clear why characters do what they do, and so it comes across as, oh, everybody is just acting the way that they're supposed to because the writers want them to, as opposed to the characters having realistic reasons for why they do what they do. The one character I do like is Soul. So I do like Soul, but I still don't understand the whole backstory. And like I said, episode 3 was meant to give you answers and meant to like show you and explain things, but it actually did the opposite and created more questions and more plot holes and more lore breaking content and more woke stuff and all of this unnecessary stuff. And I feel like episode 3 didn't do what it was supposed to do. And so it's just made everything weird. But this episode was kind of boring. It was kind of filler, but I found myself, it was very quick, and I felt like it needed to be long. Like, it ended after he force pushed them back, the Sith guy, and they also chose not to tell the Jedi Council, which they called the High Council. So that was weird and off, and like, it goes back to how I said when we were watching it, and then we watched the Bad Batch. The dialogue feels not like Star Wars-y to me, and I feel like every kind of piece of Star Wars content, whether it's one of the movies, the originals, prequels, whether it's the Clone Wars show or the Star Wars Rebels show or a book or like Star Wars Brotherhood, I have a review of that, or a video game like Jedi Fallen Order, there's just something to Star Wars content that has that Star Wars-y feel to it. And part of it's the dialogue, part of it's the setting and the music and all that stuff, but there's just something that has that Star Wars spark, and I can't put my finger on it or like describe it into words, but it's like, this just doesn't have that. And some fan fictions don't either, but some fan fictions, like the Vader fan film from Star Wars Theory, I had a reaction to that. If I can find the video, I'll put it here too, my reaction to it and stuff. Some does feel like Star Wars and more like Star Wars than some Disney content. So it's like and then the dialogue just feels off sometimes. And so maybe they called it the High Council back in the day, and then in the next 100 years, they basically changed it to the Jedi Council. But it's like the terms are sometimes off and the things are sometimes off. But then it's like, I like Osha's character and I like her friendship with Soul's current Padawan. And I hope they don't turn that into like this lesbian type thing, because they're not even supposed to want love or anything like that. And I like the idea of Soul, like his ex-Padawan and his current Padawan actually being friends. Like, that's a really cute thing, and I hope that they still become friends and stay friends. And then Yord, like I said, sometimes Yord is really dumb and an idiot and a stick in the mud, and I really like the stick in the mud aspect, but I hate his idioticness sometimes. And then I hate when the Jedi are portrayed as cops. And then but other times Yord has this kind of wisdom to him that he offered the Osha and had a moment with her. So it's like, in everything about this show, whether it's the plot or the characters or anything really, I have questions, and I hate things and then I like things. very few times, and then it's like I don't hate other things, so I'm conflicted as to whether I hate or like it. And for me, this episode was pretty average. I didn't hate it, but I also had fun, and honestly, it was fun to poke holes at it because the writing was absolutely terrible. So I would say 3 stars, but it's kind of a I didn't hate it, so I can't give it like a low 3 stars. Even though the writing was really messed up, so it doesn't deserve 3 stars. And then the other thing that the show, so it's like really confusing what to do. And then the other thing the show is doing really well is there's so many alien races. Like Disney content with Star Wars has been so boring. We go to the same type of planets, the same type of people. Everybody's human. There's very few aliens in it, but I think they've, at least on that aspect, they finally listened to fans because it's really, really filled with all kinds of alien races. So I gotta give it props for the creativity aspect. But the writing is horrible. But in this episode, there was nothing wrong with the Star Wars content that stood out. So for me, episode 3 broke so much and made me so mad that I feel like me giving it 3 stars or 3.5 stars was really too nice. And so in hindsight, I would say they've all been pretty much 3-star episodes, but episode 3 should have been like a 1 or 2 star. And then this one would be just a 3-star average episode that had a few intriguing moments, and most of it was just riddled with plot holes and just questions that are left unanswered. And then another thing I told my sister was I feel like it's trying to be mysterious, but it's not pulling it off in the right way. Like in Shogun, they had a plot thread where it was like, we have this plan and this thing's happening, but they didn't tell us what it was, but they gave you just enough information so that we had enough time to breathe. So the characters had enough time to breathe. It showed the characters' motivations and why they do what they do. So even if you didn't always understand their actions, you could understand their characters, unlike this show. And it created just enough to show you what was going on, to explain what was going on, to make things clear while leaving things mysterious so you wanted to watch the next episode and the next one. And so I'll link to a playlist with all the Shogun reviews because I feel like that is doing it in a much better way. And even then, it didn't have that many mysterious stuff, but it did have enough to keep me guessing. Whereas this is trying to be mysterious, but it's not showing enough, and it has a lot of problems with the writer stuff. But I'd rather have bad writing and plot holes and issues and just laugh and make fun of it than compared to like an episode like last one that was intentionally trying to break Star Wars lore, if that makes any sense. So overall, I don't know. I feel like I've babbled enough. What do you guys think? Like, let me know in the comments below, because I'm just really conflicted as to whether I love it or hate it, and I feel like I'm kind of just in the middle, but I'm still having fun when I watch. Like, this episode was kind of fun, and I didn't hate it, and I like a few things of it, but it's not written very well, and I don't know why you can't get good writers. And then the last episode broke the lore, and so I don't know how to feel. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and in the meantime, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you liked this episode, then check out my review of the next one. It'll be up. I'm sure it's going to be a good one with lots of things to talk about, so check that out. You do not want to miss it.